Tell us more then about Beijing's comments on North Korea and trade.
Right. Well, as you mentioned, Trump in his comments actually said that Beijing was doing nothing while making, quote, billions off of U.S. trade with them. In addition, Trump actually also put on the pressure a bit more with some bomber flights around the peninsula, missile test firing or anti-missile defense system test firing, as well as telling reportedly Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe that he was ready to take all necessary action to defend against the rogue states. But as you said, the Chinese Vice Minister of Commerce, Tian Keming, said in a news conference today that the issues of the U.S.-China trade relations and the North Korean nuclear problem are entirely separate and shouldn't be considered as such. He also added that both sides had received mutual benefit from the trade relationship and that both sides were profiting from it as well. In addition, the semi-official nationalist tabloid, the Global Times, added that the Trump's tweets were wrong and not helpful. They said that they asked, what difference would Chinese sanctions make, and suggested that he knew that he was just spitting off steam and not actually enacting any policy. Overall, it looks like they're attempting to refute Trump's idea there, but also not really rising to kind of his occasion there. They know that Trump doesn't have a lot of options outside of taking drastic actions like major sanctions against them. So they may be, for now, calling his bluff. If he was to do that, it's hard to say what the effects would be.
Brian, China shares a land border with North Korea and they're trading partners. So tell us about China's position in the region.
Well, you could say they're caught between a rock and a hard place, or perhaps trying to have their cake and eat it, depending on your position there. On the one hand, of course, they do not want North Korea to have nuclear weapons, but on the other hand, they don't want to see the North Korean government collapse. It is within their ability to tightly restrict, if not entirely cut off, North Korea's trade with the outside world, which obviously puts the North Korean government in a very difficult situation. However, they don't, because they fear that would cause the regime to collapse. So on the one hand, while they don't want the nuclear weapons, they even more fear a flood of refugees and U.S. troops at their borders there. At the same time, the media recently, the state media in China, has been trying to dispel what it calls the China responsibility of theory, saying that not only has Beijing done more than enough, but that it is not the one who's mostly responsible. Global Times, again, the nationalist state tabloid, laid the responsibility, quote, at the feet of the party most responsible for the North Korean issue there. The position of the Chinese government is that it's really up to the U.S. to do this, in particular to have direct talks with North Korea. However, since the U.S. has publicly, at least, not been really willing to consider the option, it looks like, barring any sort of drastic action, stalemate is likely to continue for now.